Thank you, everyone. Welcome you all to Arrowhead Building Supply. I really appreciate everybody coming out to this event. It's going to be awesome. I do want to thank Jerry Pogue and Larry Sachs, owners of Arrowhead Building Supply, and also the wonderful staff of Springfield here. They did an awesome job getting this all ready. Representative Greitens, please.
Thank you very much, Rich. It's an honor to be here today. It's an honor to be in District 137, my district in Missouri House, and we really appreciate Arrowhead. They got a great facility, they do a great job. I buy a lot of stuff from them myself, but thanks for having us here today. It's really an honor to be part of the House in these times. We've got an exciting tax plan that the governor's going to talk about. We're going to work really hard to make jobs in Missouri easier and make Missouri a better state. But first, it's my privilege to introduce to you our Majority Assistant Floor Leader, my friend, Representative Kevin Austin from Springfield. Kevin.
Thank you, Representative Frey, for that introduction. And by the way, thank you for the years of friendship and the great advice you give me. I really do appreciate it. And thank you, Arrowhead, for hosting this event. You have a great company, a great group of people here, and I want to congratulate you on your success. And I want to thank you for all that you do for our community. You've made the American dream happen for a lot of citizens of this fine state. I first met Eric Greitens at least 2 years ago, and it's been my pleasure to get to know him even better as we've gone along in these last 2 years. But I'll just tell you a little something I bet you don't know about Eric Greitens. He's a great shortstop. Yeah, you heard me, shortstop. He and I played on the same softball team in a charity softball tournament last session, and I was sitting over there at second base, and I was looking over at that guy and say, man, have we got a governor at shortstop, or we got somebody from the Springfield Cardinals? Okay, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I'm not going to tell you a lie, but I'll tell you the truth. He did have the walk-off double for us to win that tournament. Isn't that right, Coach Frager? You know, I actually learned about Eric Greitens long before I met him. I'd heard some of the great things he's done, and I was curious about the man, so I did a little of my own research. I found one of his books and I read it, and then I got another one of his books and I read that, and given my involvement in veterans courts here in Southwest Missouri, I look forward to reading another one of his books called Resilience. But I'll tell you, all that I learned about our governor, I can't tell you in the 3 minutes or so that I have here. And I can't tell you why I'm so proud to make this introduction, but I can tell you a few things. After graduating high school in St. Louis, our governor went to Duke University, and then after that, he went to Oxford, England. He was a Rhodes Scholar. And after that prestigious education, he could have done anything he wanted. He could have gone out into the business world, anything he wanted to do. But what did he choose to do? He chose to serve our country. I think he expressed it in his book best that he just didn't want to talk about making a difference, he wanted to actually make a difference. Our governor joined the United States Navy and became a Navy SEAL. The training he described is grueling, it was relentless, it was unfathomable to me that a man could go through that. I know there were men that were stronger than me when I was 22, men that were more athletic than me when I was 22, couldn't cut it. But our governor could cut it, and he did become a Navy SEAL, and he did went on to serve, become the rank of lieutenant commander. He was deployed in Iraq, Afghanistan, Southeast Asia, Africa, and he commanded an Al-Qaeda targeting units. He earned many badges and commendations for his service and for his valor, and ladies and gentlemen, among those, he also earned the Bronze Star and the Purple Heart. Thank you, Governor, for your service. Following the military, Governor Greitens was a White House fellow under President George Bush, and then after that, he formed the Mission Continues. The Mission Continues is an organization dedicated to helping our returning veterans. Their motto is healing by helping. They're in 30 cities across the nation, and they organize our returning veterans into what they call platoons. And these platoons go out and find the needs of their community, and they help out in helping their community. They get healing themselves. It's a great organization, and without any government funds, This organization is accomplishing a duty that I think we owe all our veterans, and that is, if we send them, then we need to mend them. And now, Governor Greitens is applying that zeal, that energy, that never give up attitude for Missouri's hard-working families. And when we're helping Missouri's hard-working families and manufacturers just like this, we're not just helping a few, we're helping every Missourian. Now, before I turn it over to Governor Greitens so we can hear his plan, I have to give you one of my favorite quotes that one in his first book that I read. It is, quote, "I've learned that courage and compassion are two sides of the same coin, and a good life requires that we be both good and strong." And we have exactly that in our governor. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to present to you our governor, Governor Eric Greitens.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. First, Kevin, thank you very much. And to the entire Arrowhead team, thank you guys so much for having us out today. Everybody doing well this morning? Good. Guys, I got to tell you, I am really, really excited. Really excited about what we're going to be able to accomplish today. Really excited about where Missouri is going. The really good news is that you sent my team to fight for you, to bring more jobs and higher pay to the people of Missouri. And I can tell you, as we stand here today, we are accomplishing that mission. And today, the unemployment rate in Missouri is the lowest that it's been in 17 years. We have more jobs in Missouri than ever before. We have more manufacturing jobs in Missouri than we had a year ago. The state's moved up 9 places in the rankings of the best states to do business. People are going back to work. And it's making a difference for families across the state. And the way we've been doing this is that we've brought common sense back to government. Brought common sense back to government. You know, when we came into office, we saw that the state of Missouri had 4 planes that they weren't using. And we're spending $40,000 a year on maintenance for those planes. So you know what we did? We sold them. We found out that there were over 100 government cars that the government wasn't using. So we're getting rid of them and saving you over $2 million. We're bringing common sense back and looking at every dollar that we're spending. And I'll give you just one other simple example. You know, we rolled out the budget last week. Now, in the past, what had happened was that the government paid to print these giant budget books that sat on shelves collecting dust, and they cost $3,650 to print. So our team went and we asked, why are we spending $3,650 to print? And you know what somebody said to us? They said, well, $3,650, it's not that much money. It is if it's your money. And we need to remember this is the people's money. Every single dollar that the government spends is a dollar that was earned by a hardworking Missourian. So this year, we're putting the budget online and saving you $3,650. So the idea is we're going to look at every decision that the government makes to make sure that we're bringing back common sense. One of the places where we've done this, which we know has been helpful to companies like Arrowhead, helpful to companies throughout Greene County, helpful to a lot of companies here in Springfield, is that we're also rolling back regulations. And when people think about regulations and the growth in regulations and the burden of government, they often think about what's happening at the federal level. But the fact is, if you go back over the course of the last 16 years, regulations in Missouri actually grew at a faster rate than they did at the federal level. We're putting all of these burdens on our businesses, on farmers, on ranchers, all over the state of Missouri. You know, we came into office in our first week, we did a full review, we ordered a full review of every regulation that was on the books. And we found that the state of Missouri had 113,000 separate regulations, over 7 million words of regulations. And when we talk to people, business leaders, workers, entrepreneurs, farmers, ranchers, the thing they said to us was over and over again, they said, We want to succeed. We're working hard, but you have to get the government off of our back. So we went and we did a full review of every regulation, and as I stand here today, I can tell you that we're going to get rid of 1 out of every 3, fully get rid of 33,000 regulations in the state of Missouri. Now I know, and all of you recognize that when we're out fighting for you and doing the hard work that has to be done, we're not going to make everybody happy. You know, last year, you probably saw I called a special session, a special pro-life session of the legislature to come back and make sure that we were protecting our pregnancy care centers. Well, just last week, a couple lawyers in the office came in and they said, because of the pro-life work that you did supporting pregnancy care centers, Governor, we got to tell you that now you're being sued by the Satanic Temple. Now, I said to them, I said, guys, if Satan's lawyers are suing us, we're probably doing something right. Okay? We're probably doing something right. And we've been doing that. We've been fighting for you. You know, we have some fantastic representatives. Kevin Austin, Lyndall Fraker, Jeff Messenger, who come up every day, and they remember you. And they fight for you. And they work for you. And they joined me in another special session of the legislature where we got a bill passed so that Missouri could compete for steel mills and advanced manufacturing around the state. And today, we've got a new steel mill in the state of Missouri, and we're competing for projects all over the state of Missouri. We have been doing things differently. And one of the things that you've seen that we've done day after day, week after week, month after month, is that we have sent an extraordinarily clear message to everyone across the state of Missouri that we support our law enforcement officers and we're going to have their back. And what we've done is upset some people. But I know the things that we've stood for haven't always been popular in other places around the country, on the East Coast and the West Coast, but we've made very clear that here in Greene County, here in Springfield, here in Missouri, we're proud of the American flag and we know that real patriots stand up for it. Now, but the people who are most angry about what we've done are the special interests who thought that they ran Missouri until together we teamed up and we said no more. We said no more. Look, there's one group in particular that have been ripping you off and ripping off working people across the state of Missouri for years. They had a scheme going where they'd take your money, taxpayer dollars, right, and they'd claim that they were going to use it to help people. For example, to build low-income housing. And over the course of the last decade, the state of Missouri paid them $1.3 billion. On average, $135 million a year. That's your money. $135 million a year. And you know, both Republican and Democratic administrations had audited this program. And you know what they found? They found that only 42 cents of every dollar actually made it to the programs and the projects to help people. $1.3 billion over the course of the last decade, and 58 cents out of every dollar wasn't getting where it was supposed to be. You had lots of people getting rich off of this. And you and I know exactly what that is. It's a scam. It's a scam. They were ripping people off. So you know what we did? We zeroed out their program because we're not going to stand for it any longer. And we sent an incredibly clear message that we're here to work for you, to bring more jobs to Missouri, to bring higher pay to the people of Missouri, And that's why I'm proud to be here with you this morning to talk about how we're going to cut taxes for the people of Missouri. This is your money. It's your money. Now, in the past, plans like this focus on the well-connected. Our plan focuses on working families across Missouri. And in our plan, we're going to be cutting taxes for 97% of Missourians are going to see a tax cut. We've targeted our plan to cut taxes for Missourians, to cut taxes for working families. And first thing we're going to do is that we're going to cut the top income tax rate. So everybody's going to see, everybody in the state of Missouri who makes over $9,000 is going to see a 10% cut in their tax rate. The other thing that we're doing is that we're putting in a workers' first tax cut. A workers' first tax cut to help working families across the state of Missouri. Now, Kevin mentioned when I came home from Iraq, I worked with a lot of veterans who were coming home. Some of these men and women were dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder. They might have had a physical injury. They might have had a difficulty in their transition, but they were coming home and they were getting started trying to build a life right here in Missouri. And they were setting up companies. One of them was setting up a commercial cleaning company. Another one decided that he wanted to serve in law enforcement, so he's working as a deputy sheriff. And we're working with a lot of these families, hardworking families. And I saw that they needed help. It's one of the reasons why I decided to step in and find a way to serve them. And our plan is going to serve them. If you imagine a couple, and he's working at a commercial cleaning company, she's working retail part-time. Let's say they have 2 kids. They're making $40,000 a year. Folks, that couple doesn't have lobbyists. They're not getting any special interest tax credits. And today, a couple like that pays $920 in taxes. $920 in taxes. Under our plan, we're going to save them $471. It's over cutting their tax bill by more than half. Or think about a single mom who's got 2 kids. And she's working hard every day. Let's say she's waiting tables. Let's say she's working at one of the hotels around here, helping to clean rooms. Got 2 kids at home, and she's making $2,500 a month to support her family. Today, she pays $788 a year in taxes. Under our plan, we're cutting her tax bill to $150. She's going to save over $650 in our plan. And because of the workers' first tax cut, 380,000 of the hardest working Missourians are going to see their tax bill cut to $0.00. You imagine a married couple with a couple of kids, and they're working hard. They're working hard, counting their dollars every week, making $30,000 a year. Right now, the state of Missouri takes $348 out of their pocket every year for taxes. Under our plan, for them and for 380,000 of their fellow Missourians, their tax bill goes to $0. It goes to $0. And this is a plan that rewards and incentivizes work. It rewards and incentivizes work. Because we want to send a message to the people of Missouri that if you're working hard and you're doing the best that you can to support your family, if you're putting in the hours, we're going to be behind you. And we're going to build a plan that works for you. Not a plan that works for tax credit millionaires. We're going to build a plan that works for you. Now, we had the Department of Revenue run over 7,000 different scenarios. This is an incredibly well-researched plan. And based on that estimate, we know that in our plan, 97% of Missourians are going to have more money in their pocket. More money in their pocket. And here's the other thing. Keep in mind, this is your money. And that's why in the back you'll see we've got documents, a 7-page document that lays out every detail of every dollar of this tax plan, so that you can see it for yourself, so that you can read it for yourself, so you can share it with your friends, with your neighbors, with folks at church, so you can share it with other people who are running businesses, so you can see what this plan is going to do for you and for others. Because this is your money, and we want you to see every single one of the details. Now, folks, we also know, you know, that the very best way that you can help a family is to make sure that they've got a quality job. Best way you can help a person, make sure they've got a quality job. When we were working with veterans who were coming home, we knew that the single best thing that we could do for them was to make sure that they had a quality job. Now, in order to do that, we have to help our businesses so that they can hire more people, so they can invest in more people. And what we're doing in our plan is that we're going to cut the corporate tax rate in the state of Missouri, so we're going to have the second lowest corporate tax rate in the country. Woo! And that's going to help us compete. It's going to help us compete. You know, when every day, we're talking with business leaders across the state of Missouri. We're talking with business leaders around the country. And folks, we're in a competition every day. We're in a competition with Michigan, with New Mexico, with Virginia, with Florida. Missouri's in a competition. We're also in a competition with places around the world. We have to have a great environment for people to come and build businesses. And by reducing regulations, by getting government off of their back, by lowering taxes on businesses, we're going to enable them to build more and to hire more here in Missouri, and that creates prosperity for everyone. The other thing, I'm so proud of the work that the team did on this, because this is an extraordinarily responsible plan. We're going to be able to cut taxes on working Missourians, and we're going to be able to lower taxes on our businesses, and we're not burdening our children with debt. We're doing this in a responsible way. And one of the ways that we're doing that is that we're just taking a hard look, bringing common sense back to government, and we're ending outdated, unnecessary, and sometimes unfair practices. Look, I'll give you an example. How many folks here paid taxes last year? Now, how many of you got a call from somebody in the government saying, hey, we got your tax bill on time, we're going to give you a bonus? It didn't happen. Right? But right now, the government gives a discount to some businesses and to some corporations just for doing what everyone is required to legally do. Now, the fact is, we are one of the only states in the country that does this. And it might have made sense years ago, but it doesn't make sense today. And I believe that instead of giving some people a bonus for doing what everybody has to do, we should give everybody a tax cut. And that's what we're going to do. And also, the other thing that we're doing is that we're taking a hard look at, again, all of these outdated, unnecessary rules. Do you know, in our tax code in the state of Missouri, the way we've got the tax code set up for businesses, it actually rewards them and incentivizes them to hire people and to build things outside of Missouri. This doesn't make any sense. We should have a tax code that rewards businesses for hiring people here, for building things here, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to change our tax code so that we're putting Missouri first and rewarding businesses who are hiring people in Missouri. Folks, we can get this done. This is important to people across the state of Missouri. We can cut taxes on 97% of Missourians. We can make sure that 380,000 of the hardest working Missourians see their tax bill cut to zero. But it's going to take all of us. And you have, again, some fantastic representatives here. Jeff Messenger, Kevin Austin, Lyndall Fraker, who go up every single day to work for you, to fight for you. And we are proud of them. So together, let's do this. Together, let's do this. Together, let's reduce taxes on the people of Missouri. Help our businesses to invest in jobs here in Missouri, and let's continue to grow prosperity and take Missouri in a new and a better direction. Thank you guys, and God bless you.
Hey guys, how are you? Hey, how are you? Hey ma'am, how are you? Good. Hey sir, how are you? Good. Hey guys, how are you? Welcome. Thanks.
Hey, what's up?
Sir, good. You doing all right? Hey ma'am, how are you? Good to see you. How you doing, sir? Good. How are you, sir? Good. Good. Hey, thanks for coming. Hey, thanks for coming out, guys. I know you had a question, sir.
All right.
I'd be happy to. Yeah. You guys tell me what's. Yes, sir. No, go ahead, sir. Go ahead. I'll do the same thing. I'll make sure I get yours.
See that real good fun.
Yeah, you bet.
That's
You bet.
it.
Can we just,
Yeah, do you want to just put them through the button there? That's
yep.
Sorry guys, give me 1 sec. We'll get this straight.
Sorry.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
We're done.
It's worse person saying he was in Kansas City.
Is that all right? Good enough. All right. Good. Well, first, guys, I just want to say thank you very much for coming out. We're really excited about our plan to cut taxes for 97% of Missourians. And with our Workers First tax cut, we're focusing on working families across the state of Missouri. For 380,000 families, we're going to eliminate their tax bill entirely. We're really excited about what this is going to mean for Missouri workers and also for Missouri businesses, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
How can Missouri afford this tax cut?
So, ma'am, this is a revenue-neutral tax cut, and one of the things that you'll see, if we haven't provided it to you already, I'll make sure that you get a full 7-page document that lays out every aspect of this plan. And as you might have heard me mention, we're also changing certain outdated rules and loopholes in the tax code so that this is revenue neutral. One of the things that we're doing, for example, is that in the past, the state has given a special break to certain corporations just for paying their taxes on time. My belief is that instead of giving a special break to some people for doing what everybody is required to do, that we should give everyone a tax cut. So again, it's a revenue neutral plan. It's a very responsible plan that's going to cut taxes for 97% of Missourians.
One.
Yes, sir.
Hey, the local Chamber of Commerce put out their legislative agenda this year.
Yes, sir.
One of the things it specifically asked was that the state not do any more state tax reforms until the federal ones had settled in. Is this too soon or too fast, or how do you react to that?
Yeah, so I think we're in a really good spot to do these tax reforms now. One of the things that I'll mention to all of you is that our Department of Revenue actually ran over 7,000 different scenarios to make sure that this was an extraordinarily well-researched, very thoughtful plan. And because of that, we're very confident that this plan will cut taxes for 97% of Missourians, and that the timing for it is right now. It's a good time for us to put money back into people's pockets, and we also believe that by lowering the corporate tax rate to make us the second best state in the country for corporate taxation, it's also going to help our businesses to grow.
What did they do in that? Wouldn't they would have had to have done that research before the federal tax law was passed?
So actually, they did a lot of this research while the federal plan was moving through, and we work with economists from around the state on this. And I'm really confident in the quality of the plan, and would be happy. I'll mention to all of you, if anyone here would also like to sit down with our director of the Department of Revenue. If you have any specific questions on anything, we want to make sure that you understand this plan in great detail, because we've got great confidence in the details of the plan. And would offer that to you also, sir. Yeah. Great.
So there are Democrats
Yes, ma'am.
and Republicans who are against any kind of tax reform at this time. What would you say to them to reassure them?
Well, what I'd say to Democrats, Republicans, Independents, what I'd say to anyone around the state of Missouri is that this is a really thoughtful, responsible plan that's going to reduce taxes for 97% of Missourians. And I'd say we have to make sure that we're taking care of working families in the state of Missouri. I mentioned, if you imagine a couple that's making $30,000 a year and has a couple of kids. Right now, they're paying $348 to the state of Missouri. This will, for people who are working, this will wipe out their tax bill entirely. And it's the right thing for us to do for them. It's the right thing for us to do for 380,000 of the hardest working folks around the state of Missouri. And it's the right thing for us to do to cut these taxes for 97% of Missourians.
Okay. And you're absolutely convinced that this will not have an impact on revenue, which is already low in the state.
Right, so the Department of Revenue has done a thorough analysis of this, and what they found is that this is a revenue neutral plan. And it's one of the things that we're so proud of, is that this is a really responsible, very well researched, extraordinarily thoughtful plan. And again, we're happy to show everyone all of the details. And all of those details are available to you, ma'am, and to everyone who's listening on the radio or watching on TV, because this is your money, and we want to make sure that you see all of the details of that plan so that you and others can have full confidence in it.
Is it on the state website?
Yes, ma'am. In fact, if you go out on our website, isn't that right, Parker?
Yeah, it's in press release form right now,
Okay.
but we're working on a way
All
to
right.
just even more accessible.
So we can put a link.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely, yes. You can, and please do put a link. We're really proud of this plan, and we'd be happy for you to share it with as many people as possible.
Other than the Department
Yes.
of Revenue, how
Yes.
did you, check this plan to make sure that it would be revenue neutral for the state?
So the Department of Revenue does all of the scoring for revenue bills that go through the Ways and Means Committee. So they have the official responsibility to do that scoring. So they've done that scoring, and it's also Joel Walters is the director of our Department of Revenue. Great guy, came to us from the private sector where he had been head of PricewaterhouseCoopers U.S. tax practice. He now is serving the people of the state of Missouri as our director of the Department of Revenue. And he also reached out to a number of economists and other independent organizations to talk about the principles behind this tax plan and also to do an analysis of it. So we've got great confidence in the plan.
I have a question about higher education, which has received a whole lot of cuts in your proposed budget. How concerned are you that students will see tuition increases because of this, may not be able to afford to go to college anymore, or will have more student debt when we get out?
So specifically for students, one of the things that you might see is that we actually increased money for scholarships for students to make sure that higher education was affordable for them. And yes, look, we have to make tough choices in the budget. Last year we faced a very tough budget situation where we had a choice where we could raise taxes or cut spending, and we made a decision to cut spending. This year, again, we have to have priorities. We got to make tough choices. We're investing an extra $87 million this year in elementary and secondary education, so putting an extra $87 million into K through 12 education. We're also investing, ma'am, an extra $29 million into programs for the most vulnerable children around the state of Missouri. But we do have to make the budget balance, so we have to make tough choices. And I recognize that there's some people who might disagree with me. There's some people who might say you should put less money into K through 12 education, and you should put that money into higher ed. I believe that our first priority was to put that money into K through 12 elementary and secondary education, programs for the most vulnerable children in the state of Missouri, and then also some core needs like infrastructure and public safety that we needed here in the state of Missouri.
I guess I'm just thinking, like, for, personally, if I was to all of a sudden not have a bunch of revenue coming in and wasn't absolutely certain, which it sounds like you are, that it's revenue neutral at a time when you're having to cut a lot of budgets, it just seems like I'd be a little bit worried. But that's just, but you're completely convinced that this will be revenue neutral.
Yeah, Matt, we're really confident in this plan, and again, it's one of the reasons why we've laid out every detail of every dollar of this plan. You can see every percentage of every proposed element of this plan because we do have great confidence in it. And this is a plan that will, again, it'll reduce taxes for 97% of Missourians, and because of our Workers First tax cut, we know that this is going to help working families across the state of Missouri, and it's really an important time for us to help those working families.
To kind of go off
Yes,
of
ma'am.
what she said about
Yes, ma'am.
higher education, there was a couple protesters out there. One of them was a jury student. She said that she felt like maybe she wouldn't be able to continue her education, and also women's health. Can you kind of go on that as well?
Yeah, again, as I said, I think that in a budget you have to make choices. And we were very clear with everybody about the choices that we made. Last year we were in a very tough budget situation and we had a choice. We could raise taxes or we could cut spending. And we made the choice to cut spending. This year, because the economy is improving, because more people are working in the state of Missouri, our budget situation is a little bit better, but we still had to make tough choices. We're investing an extra $87 million into elementary and secondary education. We're putting an extra $29 million into programs for vulnerable children. We're putting an extra $25 million into infrastructure needs to help communities like this build and bring jobs for people across the state of Missouri. So those were the choices that we made. Now again, other people, they might disagree with us. They might have different priorities. There's some people who might say we should put less money into K through 12 education and to put it into higher ed. But we do have the responsibility to make the budget balance, and so we're making those investments in infrastructure, in public safety, in K through 12 education.
Can you go on the women's health as well?
And what was your specific question on that?
She was talking about Planned Parenthood and how you aren't doing enough to help when it comes to women's health.
Yeah, I think we actually have a really strong record as a team on the kinds of investments that we're making, especially to help some of the most vulnerable people around the state of Missouri. And I'm proud of the work that we've done to help pregnancy care centers. We're putting more money into the budget this year to help pregnancy care centers, to help women who are expecting and to help women with their newborn children. And we're really proud of that work to help pregnancy care centers around the state, including some right here in Springfield.
Anything else, guys?
Any other questions from anyone? I want to make sure anyone gets a chance. Yes, ma'am.
You talked about the changing the tax code in regards to keeping jobs in
Yes, ma'am.
companies in Missouri.
Yeah.
How many, do you have any idea how many corporations and companies that would affect at this time?
Yeah, so I'll explain this to you, and I'll mention this is all laid out in our plan. So right now in the state of Missouri, companies can choose to be taxed on what's called a single sales factor plan, a 3-factor calculation, or a modified calculation. Under single sales factor, what they do is that they divide their total sales in the country, and they take their sales in the state of Missouri, and then they pay as a percentage of that. Under 3-factor, what they do is they look at their percentage of payroll in Missouri compared to their payroll around the country, their percentage of capital investment in Missouri as compared to their investment around the country, and their sales in Missouri as compared to their sales around the country. And what that ends up doing is that ends up incentivizing companies to invest outside of Missouri, to hire people and to build things outside of Missouri. What we're going to be doing, ma'am, is we're going to be moving to a single sales factor system so that the tax rate will be determined based on your sales in Missouri as compared to your sales outside of the state of Missouri. And that is really good for companies that have employees in the state of Missouri. It's really good for companies who are building in the state of Missouri. So the advantage will go to those companies, and it'll be really good for them. And again, happy to show you all of the details around that plan.
Are there examples of companies that have gone to another state because the corporate tax rate was more favorable?
Well, I think in general, what you've seen over the course of the last 2 decades was Missouri was 48th in economic growth, and that's due to a number of different factors. You saw last year we engaged in a lot of tort reform because the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Institute for Legal Reform had said that Missouri had one of the worst legal environments in the country for businesses. So we wanted to make sure that we had a fair court system for our businesses. So we made those changes. The regulatory environment, which I mentioned, was also unfavorable to businesses in some ways. Had 113,000 regulations on the books. Regulations in Missouri have been growing at a faster rate even than those in the federal government. So by making sure that we've got a fair court system for businesses, by making sure that we're reducing regulations, by making sure that we've got a tax system that actually rewards companies for putting businesses here in the state of Missouri and for investing here in the state of Missouri, we think all of those things are going to help us to continue to build a thriving and prosperous economy.
How important or crucial is it to remove those regulations to fund these tax cuts?
So these are separate efforts, ma'am. So the regulatory reform effort is something that we started on our very first week in office. We looked at every regulation on the books in the state of Missouri. And as I mentioned, we found that there were 113,000 regulations, over 7 million words of regulations in the state of Missouri. And so that regulatory reform initiative has been going on since our very first week in office. And as I mentioned, we're now in a place where we can eliminate 1 out of every 3, a total of 33,000 regulations on the books. The tax effort is a separate effort, but they do both have the positive effect of making this a great place for people to do business, a great place for businesses to hire more people, to invest in their employees, and to grow more jobs and higher pay.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm interested in that 7-page document.
Yes, ma'am. Can we make sure we get copies of that?
They've got copies right here, and I will never be the bad guy on this, but Nick is telling me we need to wrap it up.
Okay.
To the next thing.
All right. Guys, I just want to, I'll just say finally, thank you very much for coming out. We are really excited about what this is going to do for the people of the state of Missouri. Our plan is going to cut taxes for 97% of Missourians, and with our Workers First tax cut, we are making sure that this is a program that works for working families. We're happy to be working for them, happy to be fighting for them, and we know that we're going to be able to put more money into the pockets of the people of the state of Missouri. Appreciate all you guys making time to come out. Thank you very much. Thank you.